What's up, guys? So today I'm bringing you guys some not so great news, but it's something that we all need to know about. So this whole real estate scene, it really got hit with what you might call probably one of the biggest cyber attacks in history. So you may have already heard about it. If you've ever heard of Mr. Cooper, and when I say Mr. Cooper, I'm not talking about the what was it, like the 90s sitcom with Mr. Cooper, hanging with Mr. Cooper. No, nothing like that. They are one of the largest mortgage lenders in the United States. In fact, if you think of Mr. Cooper, think of like New American Funding, maybe Rocket Mortgage, First Horizon Bank, PNC Bank, PenFed Credit Union, Chase. Think of those guys when you think of Mr. Cooper, right? So, well, basically, they got hit pretty hard by this massive cybersecurity breach, right? And I'm not talking about like just a few thousand people here, guys. Over 14 million Americans literally got caught up in this mess. That's a lot of people. There's a lot of social security numbers. There's a lot of bank accounts, birth dates. Just all out there for, hackers, attackers, the dark web to have access to. So I want to break down what this means for us, right? So this whole shebang basically started back in October, right? And initially they thought that around 4.1 million people were affected, right? And those were the early preliminary numbers, right? But guess what, guys? That number exploded to more like 14 million people, right? So that's like the entire population of multiple states combined. There's not a small problem here. And so anyway, it's not just any old information. This is information that can literally destroy your financial life. I'm talking social security numbers, guys, bank details. This is not good. Date of birth, passwords, yada, yada, yada. Your imagination can take you on a rabbit hole in terms of what people might be able to do with this kind of information. Now, if you own any kind of real estate, condos, single family houses, residences, maybe apartments, multifamily duplexes or whatever. If you happen to be thinking about refinancing or even getting a credit card, this is huge news for you. Matter of fact, you might even be looking to get a car loan. Guess what, guys? Your credit score is like your financial fingerprint, and no bank, no lender is going to lend you any kind of money if your credit score is jacked up, unless they're going to charge you like 99% interest rates, right? But even still, they're going to want collateral, and they still ain't going to want to mess with you, right? So your credit score is basically, what banks and lenders look at to see if you're worth, investing in. Now, when somebody messes with your identity, it's not just a headache. It's ultimately likely to derail your life's plans. And, with all this personal information out here on the dark web, it's like open season for identity thieves. And this is a huge problem for a lot of people, especially if you're trying to buy a house, because if you're trying to close on a house, you don't have time to be messing around with this stuff. Well, guess what, guys? Mr. Cooper, they're not just some small time operation. They're one of the top 3 biggest mortgage lenders in the States. So, this attack is not just some small blip. It's a full-on red alert. Think about how much information you provide to a mortgage lender or a bank whenever you go to, buy a house, whenever you go to apply for a loan. If you're applying for a mortgage, think about how much information they ask from you. Now, think about that information just being stolen and breached and available for anyone just willy-nilly hanging out there, able to see your personal information. Not a good thing, right? So basically, they came out and said that practically all of their current and former customers have had their personal information nabbed. Not a good thing, guys. So if you've ever done any business with them, applied for a loan, even if you didn't get the loan, if you applied for a loan, I might be a little bit concerned, just to say the least. I'm just saying, we're talking names, addresses, phone numbers, social security numbers, date of births, previous addresses, your mom's maiden name, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of stuff. So now, if you're in like Florida or any other state with a hefty number of property owners, you might be thinking, hey, how big is this thing really, right? So let's go and put this into perspective, right? In Florida alone, over 56% of homeowners have a mortgage. Most people have not paid their homes off. Now, obviously, if you've paid your home off, you're one of the lucky minority. But this is about 5 million people in just one state, Florida, right? Now, just imagine that scale, but like nationwide, right? It's like three Floridas worth of people. And, remember, there's like 85 million owner occupied homes in the United States. So this data breach it's not small, it's not getting blown out of proportion, right? Now, if you look at October 31st, Mr. Cooper, he caught on to some suspicious activities in their systems. Let's just put it that way, right? Now, I don't know if their security department, their cybersecurity department, the IT department went to sleep for the months leading up to this, but basically they've been working with law enforcement and regulators, but it's a huge mess. They're working on it, but basically shit's already hit the fan. And they found that, personal information from almost all their customers got yanked from their system. And it's not just them. Guess what, guys? Like 2 days before, another big real estate firm, CTS, they also got hit with a major cyber attack. So this is the reality that we live in, right? So, if you take a quick look online, you're going to realize that this is not an isolated incident. We're seeing all sorts of infrastructure attacks, data breaches left and right. We've seen water systems, like infrastructure, like electrical grids being hacked and stuff like that. So it's like it's a widespread problem. And it really seems like it's been picking up in 2023. And I would imagine, with AI technology, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, Bard, and, all these other different AI tools, and machine learning, we're likely to see even more of these cybersecurity problems, breaches, hacks, and it may be AI versus AI at some point. It's kind of scary if you think about it. Now, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just saying, in general, it's a little bit concerning, right? Now, if you look online, you're going to realize that this is not an isolated incident. We've seen it with gas stations in Iran. We've seen it with healthcare providers in the States here. Cyber attacks are becoming more and more frequent, unfortunately. And so I'm just saying, it's getting wild out here, and it's a different kind of wild. When I was growing up, you had to worry about, walking home and getting home safely, getting mugged or robbed on the streets. Now you could get robbed and not even know it, right? I mean, like, even our critical infrastructure, like you wouldn't even realize, like, that a water system could get hacked. But believe me, guys, it can, right? And so reports are coming out, and basically hackers are messing with water utilities, electric grids, you name it, right? So the whole situation is really just a wake-up call, right? We're not talking about just a few stolen passwords or some credit card numbers. This is much bigger than that. And this is it's showing you what's possible, and, if you've ever seen that movie with Will Smith, Enemy of the State, it's hard to believe how old that movie is, but it predicted so many things that are happening right now in our lives, right? And a lot of these movies have a tendency of doing that. Like, they predict what's going to happen in the future. So the whole situation, again, this is a wake-up call. So if you were impacted, definitely look at considering freezing your credit. Definitely, if you haven't been impacted, look at your current situation. Do you have some basic ass passwords? Like, if you do, you might want to add some complexity to those passwords so that you don't get hacked. Whether it's your banking system, like your computer system, like anything that uses a password that's of importance or has access to your data, I would definitely look at locking those down. And this is also about the safety and the security of our homes, our money, our future, our families, right? So, if you think about it, our society is super duper tied up in networks and tech that we've been pretty vulnerable to these digital sneak attacks. But, first things first, keep an eye on your credit report. This is really our first line of defense. If something looks a little bit odd, I would definitely report it, dispute it, consider, freezing my credit report. And just, this is just basic information, right? But, let's face it, guys. The way things stand right now, especially with the economy doing this roller coaster thing, we're likely to see more cyber attacks. We're likely to see more fraud. And a lot of people are in tight spots right now. And unfortunately, they're doing some nefarious things that they normally wouldn't do if they weren't in these situations. But, the worst times, the worse off the general population is, the worse off, things like this are going to spike is what I'm saying. If people are short on cash, they're going to be looking to do anything that they can to come up off of anyone and anybody. That's just how, the nature of civilization is. It's unfortunate. It's kind of like, what was that show with the zombies? The Walking Dead. Like when there's like a crisis, people get desperate. I get a little concerned. Even if I'm not desperate, I know other people would be desperate, and get ready. So what's the takeaway from all this? Well, first, of course, the cyber attack on Mr. Cooper. This could literally just be the tip of the iceberg. And, I want you guys to know that, we're in this together. Keep an eye on your credit. Be mindful of where your information is going. Don't be clicking on the weird links. And don't just, don't fall for these email scams and stuff like that. So anyway, guys, if your credit has taken a hit, definitely look at locking that down. And also share this video with your friends, your family, your neighbors. Make sure everyone is aware of what is happening right now. Right. So just remember, in today's world, we got to be vigilant and we got to be wise. We got to be smarter than we've ever been. All right. So, just pay attention, guys. If you haven't already, do like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'm gonna see you on the next one.